welcome back to episode 2 of 98 Dots. I'm Yana.
I'm Deepti. Today we're going to dive into the parent-child relationship and the foundations. Yana, what do you think is an important foundation to build a parent-child relationship?
I think that the parent child relationship revolves around three main things: communication, guidance, and trust.
Okay, so what about trust do you think needs to be built, or can you give us some advice on how we can build trust?
Yeah, trust is being able to openly communicate with between the parent and the child, and I think it goes both ways with one another, because if the parent and the child are able to openly communicate, I believe that it builds a stronger bond between them and connection, and it allows them to be closer together, and being able to be more open with communication allows you to build overall trust and honesty with one another.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how does one communicate in order to build trust?
I think in order to communicate and build trust, I think that you need to.
It's okay.
I think you
Do you
need
think we
to.
need to be more honest with each other? Like we need to just talk about our feelings, maybe even kind of dive deeper into our days. Like I think that's where it happens, right? It's
Yeah,
where the conversations
yeah,
happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think having conversations that also revolve more deep, rather than just like, hey, how are you doing? Like that's it.
Also not surface level.
Not surface level
Yeah.
conversations. I
Mhm.
think there need to be deeper type of
Conversation.
conversations,
Hmm.
because I feel like if you're just surface level, having surface level conversations, you're not able to like fully dive deep into like your thoughts with another person. And usually, even with friendships with children, when they make friendships, most of them start off because that you're able to have that deeper connection with them.
What I am hearing you say is it's better to have that one-on-one deep relationship with your child or the parent, and then talk more than just, hey, how was your day? Just get in deeper and say, okay, what about your day was bad, or what about your day was good, and how can we make that better?
Yeah.
How can we actually change it and turn it
Yeah.
around? So I think that builds connection.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's a great insight. You also mentioned you mentioned trust, and then you mentioned guidance.
Mhm.
So how should we guide children, and how do you think children would like to be guided by parents?
Yeah, I know for many children, especially me, I'd like to be guided by like if I'm struggling, if you can tell that I'm having a rough day or I'm struggling, like ask how I'm doing, and not just surface level again, like I said before, but like actually diving deeper into like what could be wrong. Like I want to help you, I want to fix this, I want to listen to you, I want you to tell me what's wrong, rather than you telling me what to do. Ask if you can listen, because that will help the child be like, okay, I can feel heard, and I can like be able to openly communicate with you about ideas that maybe children don't openly communicate to you about. Because surprisingly, a lot of children actually will come to you first if you don't always tell them what to do. If you ask them, can I like hear what your opinion or thought about that situation was?
So I love that you said listen,
Mhm.
because through my coaching, that is the one thing that I do with my clients
Yeah.
is I listen first.
Yeah.
I then absorb what they're saying, fully understand what they're saying. That builds trust
Yeah.
between the two of us. Okay, so let's talk about communication. Now, you said trust, you said guidance. How can we communicate better with each other?
I think being more honest will help us communicate better. Not like spreading like lies or like making up a story. I think that being able to tell the full truth will help you communicate better, because if you lie and about a lot of the stuff, then people won't know exactly what you're feeling or going through. And if you just ignore the fact that something you may be struggling with, I think that could also just cover up the actual hurt inside of you, rather than being able to talk it out with someone like your parent.
So I'll give you my opinion on this as a parent, right? I'm as you know, we're navigating two teenagers in this house, right? And so when you see emotions run high from your sister or yourself or even me, I openly tell you like, hey, today I'm feeling a bit tired and I don't really want to do anything, and I think I'm just going to put myself to bed earlier than normal. So I'm having a very open dialogue with you about how I feel.
Yeah.
Now, there are kids that don't want to do that, right? They're very angry about it, or they just come in with, I don't know, with some kind of emotion, high emotion. So what do you think a parent should do in that regard when that happens?
You mean when
Let's say I'm the child, right? And I come in storming and I'm just really upset today,
yeah.
but I don't even want to talk about any of this. What do you think a parent should do? What, or as a child, what do you think you would expect a parent to do in that, or that would make you feel like, better? Would it be space, maybe? Like giving you space?
Yeah, I would first of all I would say first if you want to try and talk to us,
Yes.
I would say be more like having an open mind to listen rather than to tell. Because
Okay.
the more that like you said before, like that's like something you do in coaching. Because listening about what the child has to say will make her or him feel like, okay, wait, she actually wants to listen to what I have to say rather than tell me what to do all the time.
Yeah.
So I think that that'll shock them and it'll letting them be closer and being able to be more open and like telling you exactly what they feel. Versus, I also think that um being like I feel like ignoring us, it can be a good thing because it can allow us to also reflect on our own thoughts and just be curious about like, wait, she doesn't actually really care. So maybe I should just walk up to her and tell her because that makes the child feel like, okay, wait, so if she's not telling me, I kind of want to tell her because you not wanting to know makes me kind of want to tell you.
Yeah.
So I think that's how a child's mind works. So I think that if you ignore me, I think that could also be a good thing. I mean, it looks like you're walking away from the situation, but it can be in some situations a good thing.
Okay. So I think what I'm hearing you say is sometimes if we do give you space, you find it within yourself to come on your own and talk to the parent and explain exactly what it is that you're feeling, because that is now more important to you, the fact that they respected you and gave you the space you needed.
Yeah.
That's
Because
awesome.
also, like, when we go to school and we are, like, let's say we go to school for, like, 8 hours, we're listening to people tell us what we have to do all the time, that coming home and, like, wanting to openly communicate isn't always about us wanting to hear what we have to keep doing. It's about us wanting to tell you what we want. Like, because we want a space to be able to tell you exactly what we want and, like, being able to just do whatever we want and, like, being able, because I think that will bring us closer together to be able to say exactly what we want and it'll like help us not be as like tight or like I just go to my room every time. Like we can actually have good conversations.
Good conversations. Yeah. More communication comes out of a little bit of space too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So next question. I think what you also touched on is emotional intelligence in many words, right? So emotional intelligence is something that we struggle with, and I think we break it down between anger or sadness or frustration or happiness, right? So I think when a child is having a bad day, your recommendation is to give them space, right?
Yeah.
Now, not everybody is emotionally intact with their feelings, right? Sometimes you just are aggressive or you want to know what the problem is, or you don't give the other person the space and time to kind of come to you to explain the issue. How do we help those folks understand that it's not about them, it's about the child in the moment or the situation at hand?
Yeah.
How do you think we can navigate that?
Yeah, I think that a lot of the times you help me with that because you always tell me not to label my emotions as angry or frustrated. You tell me exactly the situation. That way I can understand what you're thinking.
So just how do we help parents or children, right? Like that are they don't know emotional intelligence as a whole word. What they know is the anger, the sadness, and which is good. It breaks down what emotions, different emotions are, right?
Yeah.
So how do we, like as a parent or you as a child, help someone that is maybe listening to us, that could help them, is understand how to navigate the emotional intelligence aspect of life in general. And I think the one good example you gave was is to be guided by the situation at hand, right? So
Yeah.
not label everything as, oh my god, she's acting out and she must be hormonal,
Yeah.
or maybe, somebody bullied her. Let's not make a judgment on what is happening with your day or my day.
Yeah.
Maybe we communicate better and say, okay, like, let's help us understand, is the emotion coming from anger? Is it coming from a bad day, like frustration? Let's dig in deeper, right?
Mhm.
So what questions would you ask me? Like, let's say I'm having an awful day and you are seeing me snap here, there, everywhere. What is the question you would ask me in terms of like trying to get within my the moment of the frustration or anger that I'm carrying?
I think it's different for parents versus children because I think children, they don't often want to be approached and like be asked. So I
Okay.
think they would go to their rooms. But I think and like want to be ignored. But I think for like adults like you, I would just straight up I would ask you. I would be like, how's your day going? Like,
Yeah.
why are you feeling this way?
Yeah.
What do you think is causing you to feel this way? And I think that's just lucky between our parent child relationship because we have been working on it. I
Mhm.
think it's just being able to openly ask you. I think you tell me anyway.
Mhm.
So I think that like asking directly to the parent is better than just ignoring them because I think ignoring them makes them feel like after a full day of work that they're trying to provide for their kids and trying to like do all this work and
Yeah.
like being able to just do chores or like work hard for money and do all these things for kids. I think instead of you wanting us to ignore you, I don't think you want that. From the child's perspective, I
Yeah.
believe that you would want us to come and ask you if I'm correct.
Yeah, I think that would
That's
make me
accurate.
feel nice. It
Yeah.
would make me feel like seen,
Yeah.
which is important. We always want to be heard and seen. And so if I'm already seen by you and you already observe that I am not feeling like myself,
Mhm.
then I can open up to you, and then I would immediately feel heard.
Yeah.
Great. I love that we're getting in deeper with this emotional intelligence and parent-child bonding.
Yeah, I think it's
One other thing I think we need to talk about is, you said that you've already built this relationship, meaning you and I have built that relationship.
Mhm.
I think what you're talking about is friendship. I think it's
Yeah.
very important that while I remain your parent, I also treat you like a friend,
Yeah.
because then it just makes conversations easier, right? And I'm not hiding
Mhm.
or things from you that I would not think that are appreciated by you,
Yeah.
or that you would, that as in I'm not being a good example, so I love that I can build that relationship with you.
Mhm.
And so, what are your thoughts on that for other parents?
Yeah, I think for parents, I think instead of like ignoring a lot, I think you should try to be more involved in the children's life, whether they like it or not, because it ends up bringing you closer. So I feel like asking them, hey, like, let's go get your favorite treat together.
Mhm.
Oh, let's go do this together. Let's do an activity. And sometimes the children won't always want to do it because they'll
Yeah.
always have their own life and be like, I want to do my own friends. I want to do all my cool stuff.
Yeah.
But I think once in a while, giving them like their favorite treat or like taking them out or doing an activity that they like, I think that will really help bond you closer and then make you even more happy to talk to them about anything that you want. It's kind of like a friendship. So I have friendships with a lot of people at school.
Hmm.
For example, like if I have a friend that I have PE class with, the reason that we become closer is because we're doing a fun activity together. Like,
Mm.
for example, right now I'm doing volleyball. So I think, like, doing an activity together can also help you bond and get to know each other more. And,
Hmm.
like, I think the one on one child, like, relationship
Hmm.
also can help you bond it. So, like, if you have siblings, I would recommend, like, maybe the parents can do one on one date nights, which I know that we do. We do,
Hmm.
like, my mom will take me out, and then she'll take my sister out for dinner, and then we'll see, like, we'll be able to have
More
deeper
conversation.
conversations
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
there. So
That's
yeah.
that's great. What you're talking about is also team building that happens in, I think your schools do it.
Hmm.
I mean, work environment have included team bonding. activities, because that's where you let loose, you kind of open up, you kind of are more relaxed. And that's when someone feels at ease, right? When
Yeah.
you're feeling at ease, it's when you're going to be able to open and honestly have conversations, which can then you can, I guess, get dive in a little bit deeper into a person's life, right? When your surface level is like, hey, let's meet in a meeting, and or in our case, let's have breakfast quickly and then run to school, and the routine kind of makes us lose that one-on-one time.
Yeah.
You're also in ninth grade, so it's a busy year for you.
Yeah.
And I'm starting my business, so that's a busy time for me. But I think we make time for each other and prioritize.
Yeah.
And so now that we're shifting a conversation to priorities, how do we prioritize as parents and as children to bond with each other?
Yeah. For me, I usually pick days where I'm like, this is going to be like a morning with my friends, and this is going to be like a day with my family. For example, I make time with my friends on Saturdays, usually on my open days.
Yeah.
And with my parents, I usually make time like after school because they pick me up. So I'm like, I try and fit in as much as I can where I can hang out with my parents. And it shouldn't be seen as a bore. It should be seen as like something fun because that'll also help tie yourself into having more open communication with your parents.
So what activities, or how would you recommend the bonding time? Meaning, obviously, we can't go to a loud, noisy place where we can barely hear each other. Or why don't you give me some examples of where bonding can happen?
Yeah. I mean, first I would ask them, what do you think? Where do you think we should go?
Yeah.
But I think for me, I always like eating boba with you
Yeah.
because we can chat in the car and then we can have our open conversations there. Or even maybe like a less noisy restaurant because like that's where like it's kind of like more of a public area. You don't really scream or like yell or like do anything like that. But you're able to have a nice conversation together in those types of zones. But like also even in the house, if you just want to watch a movie together or you want to like do something fun like board games, like I know board games for us is really fun because we can connect through those. Yeah.
We used to play board games almost every night.
Yeah, and I think that also helped us connect closer because we were able to see our competitive side and then like our happy side and then like our sad side, like oh we lost, and our angry side. So it helped us like actually navigate through all emotions together, and then it was pretty fun.
What's the biggest emotion that came out of playing a board game?
For me, it's not as much competitiveness as you. I think for me, it's more of like sadness because like I usually don't win these types of games, but I think it's always fun to connect, and it's always a fun way to connect with.
But I'm not competitive. It's we have a third person in this house that's competitive.
Little sisters are a little competitive.
But then tell me what happens when we play and a scene happens. So what I'm trying to get to is conflict. Conflict happens, right?
Yeah.
Now, conflict is one that happens whether you're playing a game, or let's say you are still having you're having this bonding time, and all of a sudden there's a conversation that comes up, which leads to conflict.
Yeah.
So how does one navigate conflict?
I think we can navigate conflict through many ways. First of all, and it's always going to be like this, communication again. But I also think that all these things, guidance, trust, they all tie into like being able to like communicate through conflict.
Yeah.
Because I think that talking about it out with one another and hearing each other's opinions. So we used to do this thing, I think in preschool, if I memorize correctly. We used to do this thing where we would hold an object and then we would talk about what we felt about something and then pass it on. That way everyone's feeling seen and everyone's feeling heard about us, like the situation, the conflict. So I think you should take it by turn and then you can hear everyone's perspective because oftentimes we only think about our perspective. And I think our perspective isn't always as accurate because sometimes I'm like, wait, maybe you did get the money. Maybe you were supposed to have the money for Monopoly. And maybe I was like, you realize things through conflict and through hearing other people's perspectives.
Yeah. So I think what I'm understanding is it's okay to have conflict. We just have to learn how to communicate better to diffuse the conflict. But now I'll tell you about me. Every time there's conflict with me, I shut down.
Yeah.
And I think that is a childhood thing where I go and I need a moment,
Mhm.
maybe 3 days,
Mhm.
too long.
Yeah.
But I do need that little time to reflect and understand the situation at hand.
Mhm.
And knowing me, I look at it from every perspective, not just mine.
Mhm.
I don't always think that I'm in the right, but if I am, I would like to stand up for myself.
Yeah.
So let's say that the other side is just busy screaming and bugging you and poking you to resolve conflict immediately
Mhm.
because that's their way of resolving
Mhm.
conflict,
Mhm.
right? But that's not your way.
Yeah.
So is it in that situation, would you yourself assess like, hey, this other person doesn't navigate emotions like me,
Mhm.
and I think I'd like to give them the time and space and respect to deal with it themselves?
Mhm.
Is that an okay thing, or do you think just poking them and bugging them and immediately wanting an answer is the right way?
I think if you are a person who feels that way, who shuts down, I think from what I understood, I think that you should definitely say, "Hey, I'm not in the space or time to deal with this right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the way that I navigate conflict. I need a few minutes. Can you like give me some time to
Mm-hmm.
reflect on what maybe I did wrong or maybe
Yeah.
what I think you did wrong?" Because then it'll let them know that like, okay, well, that means that she thinks that she's like she's that she needs a time on her own to
Yeah.
figure it out. And I think that's okay because then people understand, like, okay, she needs some time, she needs some time. And saying that you need some time to yourself to reflect on maybe what
Mm-hmm.
I did wrong also puts you in the position of like, I like puts someone else in the position of thinking, wait, okay, so she needs some time. I think I should give her that time to reflect and maybe think about what maybe I did wrong or what she did wrong. Because I think um letting someone have their time to reflect on their own thoughts shouldn't be a punishment. It
Yeah.
should be something that should be allowed. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing that shouldn't be allowed about being able to reflect on your own thoughts.
I think it's very brave and vulnerable of someone to say, "Hey, that I don't think I'm able to have this conversation right now,
Mhm.
and I want that space
Yeah.
and time to reflect." And I
Mhm.
think it's okay to be asking for that space because not everybody can give a response immediately, right? Some
Mhm.
people have a different nervous system,
Mhm.
and just understanding everyone's state of mind is very
Mhm.
important because
Mhm.
that helps us help them better,
Yeah.
or help you know I guess understand ourselves better in respect to handling human emotions.
Mhm.
Do you have any questions for me?
I do. How do you think we navigate conflict? Because I think
So
it's different between children and parents.
I think so. So I always ask you, the first question I always ask you is like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. The second question, if you, well, based on the yes and no, then I ask you, do you want to, do you want to talk about it?
Mhm.
And then you'll tell me yes or no.
Mhm.
And then let's say you do go the yes route, then I will tell you to do exactly what I do to myself.
Mhm.
Tell me the entire story.
Mhm.
I want to know the entire story so I don't pick a side, or I can understand the situation at hand
Mhm.
better.
Mhm.
So that's the biggest way I think I guess I can understand or help you. And then I think I've been also lucky being two daughters in the house. I think you both openly tell me things and honestly communicate everything with me. And I also think I've worked very hard to build that bond with you too.
Yeah.
I have always prioritized you and Gia.
Yeah.
And I think my life has always revolved around everything with you and her first.
Mhm.
I don't even put myself first sometimes. And
Mhm.
I'm starting to, I guess I'm learning how to do that better.
Yeah.
But I think what we build together as mother and daughters, I think
Mhm.
is very special. It's very
Yeah.
unique, and I think it's because I've spent so much time with you, and I think I was fortunate enough to raise you two in a way that I always told myself that when I have daughters, they're going to be my best friends because I never grew up with a sister. And I always loved that bond between two sisters. So I consider you both not only like sisters, but friends. And I'm very open about talking to you about how I also feel sometimes amongst the hurt I've been through or anything for that matter, right? I talk to you and Gia. And I think that has opened up our relationship even better
Yeah.
because I think you trust me more
Yeah.
that I can tell you that whether I'm feeling low or why is it that I'm feeling low. Now I don't even need that moment, right? Between you and Gia, I can so openly just go and say whatever I feel like it because I know that there's a bond there.
I always think that you coming to me and saying that your struggles makes me feel like, wait, I can open to your struggles too because I understand what you're going through. Now maybe you can understand what I'm going through. Just like this conversation. Like you're understanding what I think about struggles and you can understand what I think about struggles. So I think you coming to me first also allows me to be more vulnerable with myself because I'm like, wait, if she opened up vulnerability to me, I can open up vulnerability to you. So I think that also really helps.
But a lot of kids don't feel like being vulnerable easily, right?
Yeah.
It's a hard concept. And I think I can give you an example of my dad and my mom, right? My mom and my dad were not very vulnerable to, I would say, the way I am with you. My dad, however, was a lot more emotionally kind of expressive. My mom, not so much. I think my mom was very involved in the home and making sure everybody was happy and taken care of, that she kind of forgot to dive deeper into how she actually felt. There were moments that she would express it, but my dad, he was very open about, stress, whether it was anger, happiness, everything. And I think I'm somewhat of a reflection of him, combined with a good reflection of my mom, because sometimes when I shut down with people, it's because of lack of trust. My nervous system doesn't allow me to immediately open up because of lack of trust. And so I shut down with the person that I think is causing some anxiety or some form of trust is breaking there. But I like that we had this conversation because I think it opens up avenues to other parents. And I think last thing is like, what advice do you think you would give parents, just parents, forget the children right now, on how we can build a better parent-child relationship? Just one thing, if you have to say.
One piece of advice that I would give to parents is be more openly expressive and be able to listen to the child. Because both of those things combined will allow the child to be more comfortable to open up to you. That's how it is even in friendships and really normal relationships and everything. If you show that you are able to listen to the other person will end up wanting to talk to you. I think that's just how it is with almost every parent-child relationship, whether you guys like it or not. So I think being able to open up that way, I think that's being openly expressive is just the one piece of advice I would give to all parents, because that's how you truly know what the child is feeling and how the child will know what you're feeling.
Yeah, and I think mine would be is to build a friendship. I think I love that we can build this friendship with our kids and make that a lifelong relationship, because they'll carry to their children. They'll remember times when how they had their parent-child relationship. I always remember my dad, and I talk about him so much. And so he was a funny guy and he loved life, and he had his moments. He was stressed, but he would express it. But he very openly built a relationship of friendship between my brothers and myself, and I love that. And now I can do that with you, and I think that has helped me also build the same relationship with my mother. And you've seen how I talk to Nani, right? Nani is always I joke with her, and I try to be funny so she can laugh a little bit and be at ease with life and not be so stressed about me and you or Gia, right? Well, thank you so much, Yana. This was a very insightful conversation for the parents and children. So I love that we had this. Until next time, we will see you on episode 3.
Stay tuned. Bye.